Okay, hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to JFD Traders Espresso with me, Darius and Anucauskas. Today is the 20th of November 2019, so welcome everyone. Welcome to this Wednesday's morning session where we're going to have a quick look at the markets, a few of the charts, the usual stuff. But before we do that, as always, let's quickly have a read through our risk disclaimers. So, the content we produce does not constitute investment advice or investment recommendation, should not be considered as such, and does not in any way constitute an invitation to acquire any financial instrument or product. As always, a few seconds for you to read the rest, and we can continue. Okay, so also just before we jump into the charts, quick mentioning of our JFD YouTube channel here, to which you can always subscribe to in order not to miss any of our upcoming videos, and of course our JFD Bank website, and specifically our JFD research page, which we also update on a daily basis. So I believe you can find a lot of useful stuff here for yourself. So feel free to visit us. But right now, guys, let's jump into the charts. Now, the first one I want to touch on here is the FTSE 100. Now, yesterday, as you know, as you're aware, basically the equity markets started selling off sharply after a sharp rise initially. They started selling off sharply after the U.S. opening bell. So basically, the U.S. market started selling, and of course, all in regards to the trade tensions, trade problems. So basically, we saw the FTSE kind of, and the FTSE and the DAX, which I will get to later on. All of them managed to kind of close here, slightly in the positive territory, but nevertheless, kind of what should I say? Is they've managed to close in the positive territory a little bit, but still kind of they lost all the kind of gains that they managed to do over the first half of the day. From the technical side, and this is what I was talking about to you guys. Basically, if what I was saying, that if this drifts lower but stays above the 7,350 zone, then there is a potential for this one to kind of maybe reverse and push back to the upside. So this area could act as a nice plateau for a nice move back, for a nice move higher again. The only thing is, as you can see, that this is what it did. It broke it, and what I was saying as well, that all this territory here for us will be somewhat of a neutral one, because for us to get excited about the downside, still the same idea remains. We need to see a drop below the 7,245 level, and only then we will aim for lower areas. And by lower areas, I mean the 7,140 zone. So this, as you can see previously, it acted as a fantastic area of support. Initially, we'll target that, but we're not going to drag this one further down yet. First, we want to see how it could perform around here near the 7,140 zone. So, but in order to consider that move towards that area, we need to see a drop below the 7,245 level. So let's keep an eye on this one, guys. If by any chance this decides to reverse back above the 7,350 zone, then, well, again, we will start looking at higher levels. The only thing is that we'll be very careful here, very cautious, just in case this does something like this, what it did yesterday. So yeah, guys, for now, be very careful with the indices. Of course, there is a chance for it to drift lower given the sharp sell-off that we saw yesterday in the second half of the trading day here, second half of the European trading day. But again, be very careful, guys. In a way, also, this kind of large sell-off could have been maybe a nice correction before another leg of buying. But then again, it's very, like I said, it's a very tricky spot, and as long as the price remains in this little territory right here, we're going to remain neutral and just continue observing this one. Similar story with the DAX here, and yesterday I talked about in my morning video, I talked about this potential breakout here if we get a breakout through the upper side of the range that the index was trading in, and now it's kind of back inside of it again. But initially what I was saying, if we get a push above this, then yes, there is a possibility we could see a move higher, but only up until the 13,370. That could be our first target, which we managed to reach. And then if it fails to withhold the bulls, then yep, we could see a break of it and a push further north. But as you can see, the break never happened. The index started drifting back down again. And now basically we can see that it's kind of back inside this range. So for now, we're going to keep an eye on this range. We're going to keep an eye on these two levels again. We're still going to keep an eye on the 13,300 barrier here, which is the upper side of the range. And of course, we'll keep an eye on this yesterday's high near the 13,370 zone. So just to kind of show you what that level was in the past as well, guys. So this level here, the 13,370, also acted as a nice area of resistance here back on around 26th of January 2018. So that's why this area is quite an interesting one, quite an interesting barrier. But like I said, we'll start considering higher levels if we get a push above the 13,300. But just to get a little bit more confirmation, a push above the 13,370 zone could do the trick here for more buyers. But that said, that's of course in the scenario if it decides to push higher. For now, everything's kind of a little bit leaning more towards the downside. The cash index is currently slightly below the yesterday's close, but still above the lower side of the range. So if this lower side of the range starts getting broken, or starts or should I say gets broken, then yep, we will aim for lower areas. We'll aim for that psychological 13,000 zone or even below that. So for now, keep your eyes on this one, guys. Gold. So of course, the equity is because the equity markets took a hit. Safe havens started becoming attractive again, and you can see that the commodity is now pushing, at least trying to push above the 1475 level. I talked about this one yesterday, and basically I was telling you guys we need to see a nice, good, clear move above this level. For now, it's yes, we did have a little bit of a move here, but as you can see, it's kind of the 100 EMA here kind of kept the price down. So in a way, yes, it is pushing above this 1475, but it's not really that strong of a move that we wish we would like to, or we wish we would see. So that's why for now, yes, keep an eye on this 1475. If it starts moving away from it higher, then yep, that's good news for the bulls. Especially also keep your eyes on the 100 EMA, a nice on the 4-hour chart. A nice good push above it could lead this one a little bit higher towards the 200 EMA initially, or even a little bit further north. And by further north, I mean, let me just put this one on the chart. There we go. And we could even target this area right here near the 1494-95 zone, roughly around there, and then we'll take it from there, guys. In terms of the downside, we still stick to the very conservative approach and wait for a drop below the 1459 zone again in order to consider the downside. Excuse me. So keep your eyes on this one. WTI Oil, also something I discussed yesterday. And basically what I was saying, that to keep an eye on the lower side of this rising channel pattern. So but also to keep an eye on the 55.55 mark. So as you can see, the commodity managed to drop and close below the lower bound of the rising channel, and also managed to close below the 55.55 zone. So in a way, this creates this bearish atmosphere right now, at least in the short run, which could kind of place the 53.70 level back on the table. So this is what we're going to be targeting for now. As long as it continues to trade below this 55.55 mark, we will aim for lower areas. So that's why, guys, for now, be very careful here. in terms of the upside, well, we would need to see this one pushing back inside this channel, and ideally maybe now we would like to see maybe at least a push above the 57.10 zone in order to start considering higher areas. So for now, guys, keep your eyes on this one. It's quite interesting, and let's see if this can continue pushing further south. Jumping into a few pairs now very quickly. AUDNZD. So I talked about this one yesterday as well, and basically this is what I was talking about. So basically what I was saying that if then this was in my trader's tea time, and I was saying if we see a drop below the low of yesterday, so it was we were still trading below that above that little low that we was created yesterday. So if I said that if we see a drop below the 1.0622 zone, there is a possibility for this one to drift lower. Initially we'll target the 1.0580 mark, roughly around here. So this is what happened. We had a nice perfect test, and look at this tail of this candle. I mean, now you can see that the bulls are really fighting it hard, really fighting it strong, and to be honest, in terms of the downside, yes, it does have a chance to still move to the downside, but to be honest, right now at this point, it could be a little bit of a tricky situation here, because then yes, we could aim for a little bit of a decline here. We could aim for these areas again. Again, this is an idea for a very short-term kind of move here. So but again, at the moment, it's very difficult to talk about the further downside, because it keeps creating these tails, keeps creating these reversal candles here. So in a way, for now, we're going to continue. We're just going to remain probably neutral, because for us to get excited about the upside, ideally we would like to see a push above this 1.0660 level. I talked about this one previously, so we'll keep an eye on that one. If we get a push above that, then yes, we will aim for slightly higher levels. We're not going to drag this one too much to the upside. We will initially aim for the 200 EMA here on the 4-hour chart, but then if that fails to withhold, then it could push a little bit higher towards the 1.0749 level. So let's keep an eye on that one. USDCAD. So also something that I've mentioned yesterday in my trader's tea time, and I was telling you guys to keep a close eye on this downside line and to keep an eye on the close of a 4-hour candle to see where it's going to close. So we had a nice close above it, and look at the explosion that we had, and it pushed higher. It reached our target near the 1.3270 mark, roughly around here, and even overshot it. So at the moment, this level here, previously it was seen as a potential area of resistance. Now it's taking a role of support. So you can see that USD-CAD continues to push higher. In a way, it could do that. The next target for us is around the 1.3294-95 mark. So we'll keep an eye on that one. And if that fails to withhold, then we could see this one drifting further north, and let me just quickly show you where exactly. This is the level that we're going to be targeting, near the 1.3347-48 zone. So in a way, don't get me wrong, it could not be like a straight move higher. Something like this could happen. Basically, you could reach the 1.3294-95 zone, and then retrace back down, and if, let's say, it remains above the 1.3270 mark, then we could see a nice curve to the upside here, and a potential maybe test of this 1.3247-48, because that's going to be our target for now, but only after we push above the 1.3294 zone. So that's why, guys, we not excluding this potential move here. So we could see a bit of a drift higher, maybe even a little bit above the 1.3294 to test the R1, which is roughly around the 1.33 mark. So by the way, also a fantastic area to test. So, and then if it struggles, let's say, to push further north, then we could see a bit of a correction. But if it struggles to drop below the 1.3270 mark, then we could see a nice curve to the upside. So keep your eyes on this idea. Keep this idea in your minds, and let's see how this is going to play out. But if it starts dropping below the 1.3252 zone right here, and let me just put this one on the chart. Now this is where it could become a little bit more interesting for the sellers, because it could increase the chances of a bit of a move lower. The only thing is that we're going to be very careful here, and we're going to keep an eye. Of course, we're going to keep an eye on these lows, these recent lows. But what we will also keep an eye on here is going to be this line. Let me just quickly put this one on the chart. This tentative upside support line. So if we get a drop below the 1.3252 mark, then we could see a test of this upside line. This is what we're going to be targeting initially. We could also see a test of the 200 EMA, and then we'll take it from there. We'll see what he wants to do after. Maybe he wants to drift lower, maybe he wants to rebound, but again, who knows. For now, this is the idea that we're keeping in mind. It could drift a little bit higher, but a strong resistance area could be seen near the 1.33 mark, and then a little bit of a correction could be possible as well before another leg of buying. And the last pair for this session is going to be euro dollar. Now this one is a very interesting spot here. So you can see that it failed to move towards this area. It failed to push for a higher high, and this is what I was saying to you guys yesterday. Basically, in order for us to get comfortable with the upside on this one, at least further upside, further short-term upside, we needed to see a push above the 1.1093 mark before we could start examining, let's say, in the next potential area of resistance near the 1.1140. We still are examining this level. We never got the break yesterday, so in a way, maybe this is something for later on. But for now, you can see that the pair is declining, and the big question here is, if it drops below the 200 EMA, will this be just part of a larger correction before another leg of buying, or actually this is going to start drifting lower? The way how we could play this one out, this tricky situation here, is keep this territory right here below the 1.1063 mark and above the 1.1043. Keep this territory neutral. If we see a drop below the 1.1043, this is where we will start aiming for slightly lower areas for the lows of last week. But if it remains trading in this little territory here between the 1.1043 and the 1.1063, this is where we will stay neutral, guys. And again, even to be honest, even here we would stay a little bit on the neutral side. But the only kind of idea here would be that as long as, let's say, it stays above the 200 EMA and above the 1.1063 level, it still has a bit of chance to push higher. The only thing is that for us to get comfortable with the upside, we need to see a push above the 1.1093 level. So that's why this little territory for us is somewhat of a neutral one. This little territory here remains somewhat of a, let's say, cautiously bullish, but in order to aim for higher levels, we need to see a push above the 1.1093. In order to drive this one a little bit lower, we need to see a drop below the 1.1043. So keep your eyes on this one. So guys, I really hope you found it useful. Thank you very much for sticking around and watching it till the end. If you want to join me later on at my traders tea time, as always, that's 14:15 GMT. For now, guys, I hope you have a fantastic trading day. Keep your eyes on the markets. Of course, the big kind of focus could be on the equity markets today as well, to see if the continuation to the downside could continue. so the continuation to the downside could continue. So yep, guys, keep your eyes on those. Let's see how that's going to play out, because if this move lower that we saw yesterday is just part of a larger correction before another leg of buying, then of course those who are shorting have your stop losses in place, guys. So yep, and be very careful. Anyway, everybody be very careful, and I'll see you on my traders tea time later on at 14:15 GMT. Thank you very much, and bye-bye.